Hey guys.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is your sports guy, Kendrick Henderson with TFG Sports. Welcome to the TFG Sports Show. I'm glad to be back. We've been out of pocket the last couple of weeks. You know, things happen, but we back. We're going to talk a little sports for the next 30 minutes. I'm just glad to be outside with a little bit of sunlight. I'm in the DFW, and man, let me tell you, it has been raining. It's just I just want to come sit outside and get some of this good vitamin D, get some melanin on me. So I said, let me sit outside so I can get a little bit of sunlight so we can enjoy and talk some sports for the next 30 minutes. What's going on, my brother Brent? Glad for you joining me. And to follow that, if you joining us, please come in, hit that like, hit that share, hit that comment button. We're gonna give you a shout out. And we're gonna give you 30 minutes of some good old sports talk. And joining me to my right, that guy that's getting his lighting set up. You probably know him. If you don't, that's my man.
I don't hear you.
Yeah, you can't hear me? Okay. I can hear you good. Okay, we're gonna let Michael keep going, but that guy to the right, that's the KOTV sports director out of Tyler, Texas. That's Michael Coleman. He's getting his audio set up. He might have to come back in. That's okay. Hey, Shantae, thanks for joining us. Hopefully, we'll get Michael back. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right into our first topic. Our first topic is the NBA playoffs. Now, the NBA playoffs started this past Saturday. We've had games Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and we got games tonight. Just to let you know what games are going to be on tonight. The Lakers and the Phoenix Suns will be playing tonight at 9 o'clock on TNT, and the Dallas Mavericks and the Clippers will be tipping off at 9:30 on NBA TV. And also in the Eastern Conference, we're going to have the Boston Celtics and Brooklyn Nets. They are probably tipping off right now at 6:30 on TNT. So those are our NBA playoff games. We're going to want to talk about that. You know, the NBA season was only 72 games this year, shortened season because of the pandemic last year. They ended up playing in the bubble, didn't finish the season to the end of November, middle of November. Then they started the new season roughly a month later. So these guys really didn't have a break, but we are in the playoffs now. And we're going to start off in the Eastern Conference on some of the games that's already been played. Talk about the Miami-Milwaukee game last night. Now, Miami's the 6th seed. Milwaukee is the number 3 seed. They already were up 1-0. Milwaukee put a beat down on the Heat. They beat down. They beat the Heat last night 132 to 108. The Greek freak Giannis, he led the Bucks with 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. I think a lot of people kind of figured that the Bucks was probably going to win this series. The Heat, they probably did a lot better last year than what a lot of people expected. None of us expected them to make it to the finals. With Jimmy Butler, with Bam Adebayo, and so they figured that maybe they could repeat that magic that run they went on in the bubble last year. So they're down 2-0 now to the Bucks. So I don't see them coming back and winning 4 straight against the Bucks. I think the Bucks will win this series. I don't think it'll be a sweep. I think Miami will win one, but I think it'll end up being the Bucks moving on to the next round. Now we're gonna stay in the Eastern Conference. The team that everybody was talking about. Shantae says, "Great job, Bucks. I'm gonna let y'all finish, but the Mavs are balling." We're gonna get to them. We're gonna get to them, Shantae. I have to talk about my Bucks first because I was born in Milwaukee, so that's meal time. So I got to talk about them first. But Shantae, we're gonna get to the Mavericks here in just a second. But we're gonna stay in the Eastern Conference with the number 2 seeded Brooklyn Nets and the number 7 seeded Boston Celtics. Now, Brooklyn Nets, we all know they loaded. They got a big 3 that Durant, Harden, Kyrie Irving. We already know that most people have already handed them the championship. Well, let me tell you something. What's interesting, those 3 guys have only played like 9 games together this whole season. So we're gonna see. It ain't gonna be easy, but they did come out look a little sluggish against Boston. But Brooklyn eventually that second half they took over and they beat Boston and they lead that series 1-0. Mike, can you hear me?
I hear you, man. I had to go to another phone, but yeah, you talking about the Brooklyn series, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. They need to get a faster start to make a believer out of me. I think they can handle the Celtics, but I think we saw by what happens when you don't play the 8 or 9 games or whatever the number is or whatever. I think that's hurting them coming into this series, and maybe they have just enough. Well, they're good. We know that. Maybe they have the wherewithal. By the time they get to the middle of series 2, they will have figured it out on a consistent basis. So I'm with you. We're going to see what happens. Boston, I think, was a nice draw for them to try to figure that out.
Yeah, and Boston is missing Jaylen Brown, one of their key guys too. They won't have him at all. But they up 1-0. I mean, I think this series. I think Brooklyn. I think they're gonna. They won't sweep it, but I think they're gonna probably win this series in probably 5. I think Boston might sneak one win out of this series. So
I agree. They call it the gentleman's sweep is what it's going to be.
Yeah. Next we're gonna stay in the East. Washington, Philly. Now I think this is an interesting one. Even though Washington lost, and Philly leads 1-0. I don't know. I think Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I don't know. Somehow I think they're gonna make this a very competitive series. What you think, Mike?
It will be competitive. I wish I had more faith, and I'm sounding like everybody else. I'm a Westbrook fan, but when it comes to games like this, he don't have the resume. And I think the difference maker in this series is Doc Rivers. I think Doc, he left the Clippers, got tired of getting, dissed and whatnot. People saying he can't get over the hump. They get over the hump. I think they do it in 5.
Okay.
4-1. Yeah,
I got you. Okay, we are almost on the same page with that. All right, well, let's move
Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris showed out the other night.
He had 37, 6 and 2. Yeah. But let's go be honest. He probably won't do that again.
Right? Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right. Simmons, and Embiid, they definitely gonna have to carry this team.
Exactly.
Let's move to the Hawks and the Knicks. The surprising Knicks finally in the playoffs after I think 8 years. It's been like 8 years.
Yeah. 13.
Yeah. And the Hawks came in there, and Trae Young, he stole one. The Hawks stole one. What you think? What you think about this series?
To me, it's the most intriguing series because it's the best matchup of teams. These two teams on the up, both of them, because they're going to be around next year. I think what's going to help out the Knicks is they're showcasing for free agents for next season. They're now an attractive team, and Tibbs, he's a defensive guy. That's what he thinks most about, playing defense. But I like Julius Randle. He's found his game. I think he got the best 6-man. I think they showed that earlier today.
Actually, Jordan Clarkson won it. I thought it was going to be Julius.
What was it he got? He got something.
Probably most improved.
Most improved. That's what it was. Most improved.
Yeah.
His little boy brought the trophy out to him. I just saw that ceremony.
Yeah.
But it's the most intriguing matchup. Trae Young. I mean, he knows how to draw fouls. He kind of reminds me of Kyler Murray as a football player.
He kind of does. That's a good comparison. Now that you mentioned it,
the size, the determination.
Yeah,
he's a jitterbug, and I like the way he plays. He does that little jerky thing, and he's gonna nutmeg you too, and he don't mind doing it. But I like his style.
Yeah,
I'm a Knicks fan because my association with that team when I was there when Isaiah was running it. I'm gonna go with the Knicks. I'm gonna go with the Knicks. I think it's gonna go 7. I think it's gonna go 7.
I agree. I think it's gonna go 7. I think the Knicks gonna win it. And Trae Young went for 32, 7, and 10. So I mean, he's probably gonna have to continue to do that to keep them to keep them to winning that series. All right, let's jump to the Western Conference, and we're gonna start with the Mavericks. Dallas Mavericks, Clippers. I wasn't surprised that Dallas won this game. I'm not a big. I think the Clippers are overrated. I really do. I've been thinking that. But you got to talk about Luka Doncic, man.
Yeah.
Another triple-double, man.
He's a bad boy. And had he not got hurt last year, In that first round of the bubble, I don't know, man. It might have been a different outcome, but now I think they're a stronger team this year. And I like Kawhi, but he plays with no emotion. I mean, that's the way it comes across.
Yeah,
I don't see excitement. I don't see energy from
yeah.
him. Now he did posterize.
Tim Duncan was the same way. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's true. That's a good comparison. That's a very good comparison.
Yeah.
But and he did get that slam on somebody last week. I mean, he posterized right there at the goal.
Yeah, Kawhi. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the Mavericks are primed to sneak one and take a series. I'm gonna go with the Mavericks on this one. I really am.
I'm with you. I think it's gonna go 6, but I think the Mavericks gonna win this thing in 4. I just think I just think the Clippers, even though I think they got 2 of the better on-ball defenders in the league, I don't believe in Paul George. I don't believe in him when it's crunch time. He hadn't shown that he could do it. I think the Mavericks maybe have a little bit better depth, in my opinion, than what the Clippers got. But we're gonna see. I'm with you. I think it's gonna go in 6. And well, guess what? Game 2 is tonight at 9:30 on NBA TV. So the Mavericks could go up 2-0. And if they go up 2-0, the Clippers might be in trouble.
Oh yeah, I mean exactly. I mean the confidence factor for the Mavericks is sky high because they're like, because I think the Clippers wanted the Mavericks, but I know the Mavericks definitely won the Clippers.
Right, because of last year in the bubble. I agree.
Yeah. So I'm with you with the Mavs.
Okay, we're gonna move to one more game. Then the other 2 don't matter. We all know the Lakers and Phoenix. Let's go talk about these Lakers and Phoenix. Lakers lost 99-90. Phoenix up 1-0. LeBron James had 18, 7, and 10. Booker went for 34, 7, and 8. Obviously, the big thing was, is Chris Paul going to play the next game? Well, they play tonight at 9 on TNT. Chris Paul is going to play. What you think going to happen with this series, Mike?
You know what? I just can't see the Lakers going back home 2-0. The LeBron James factor. Suns got, they got the coach of the year, apparently, or will have anyway, Monty Williams, and they played strong. When Chris Paul hit the floor, I'm like, oh man, just his luck. But he came back, and I guess he is going to play. They say he's cleared to play.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a 1-1 series when they go back out in LA. Yeah. But I don't think, just like you feel about Paul George, is how I feel about Anthony Davis, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and my thing with Davis is like, dude, you need to be inside more. You need to be just inside, just crunching people as big as he is. If they don't utilize him inside, as much of a chance I think the Suns already have, they've got a better chance if he's not inside because they can't match his size inside. So I'm gonna go with the Lakers. But it's going to be a nip. It's going to be close.
Yeah, it's going to be close. And DJ Sullivan just said Lakers in 5. I'm going to say Lakers in 6. I think it's going to go 6.
I'll go 6. I think they got 2 of them.
Yeah, and I think I'm with you. I think you got Drummond and Davis on the front line. You got 2 of the biggest. You got a big front line.
They got the physicality.
And the thing is, you can't get out-rebounded again by Phoenix. They were out-rebounded by almost 13 rebounds on Sunday. You can't. You can't do that. That shouldn't happen when you got Andre Drummond and Anthony Davis and LeBron James. You can't. DJ says CP3 is hurt like normally is around this time. AD giving Phoenix 40 tonight. Well, we're going to see. We're going to see if he's going to give him 40. He definitely got to give him more than 13. I can tell you that.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to see.
And LeBron more than 18.
Yeah, we're going to see.
That was a pedestrian loss for them. So, LeBron going in was like 12-2 in game 1. So we'll see what happens in game 2.
All right, next topic. Oh, Mike, I gotta hear what you got to say about this. Mr. Kwame Brown. My man Kwame Brown. The dead has arisen, as they say. Man, Kwame has been giving it to everybody. You hear me? I'm talking about, he said he's sprinkling his mama's cooking on everybody. If you haven't watched any of this Kwame Brown, you got to YouTube it. You got to start from the beginning and end. Mike, you probably know all the story. I'm not going to go back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
I want your, coming from a perspective from a sports journalist and a reporter, you've done this 30 years. When it comes to analyzing players, talking about players, where is there a line that sometimes you think that the media can cross when it comes to
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, Kwame Brown is must-see PC podcast. I mean, for sure. I think the line is the personal. That's where you draw the line. It's just talk. If you want to talk about his game and what it was, what it wasn't, because those who are doing the talking got some personal garbage in their back pocket too. Mm-hmm. And and as you know, even Charlemagne apologized. I saw earlier today. Charlemagne the God apologized. Mm-hmm. He's trying to get his way out of that situation. And I just think you draw. It's about the game. Now I know there's some criticism towards Michael Jordan. Now he handled Kwame Brown. When he played there, the consensus is he was not a 25-year-old man. He was this 18, 17-year-old kid, and probably. I mean, I'm not going to diss Michael Jordan for how Kwame Brown turned out. Sometimes you got to find the right fit. And it's obvious that Brown didn't have a strong male figure in his life,
right?
But so you don't dog him for that. You don't talk about what his dad did or didn't do, whatever he was accused of.
Right.
If you want to say he was immature, you can do that. Jamarcus Russell was immature with the Raiders. He had that big old contract. Is he a bust? I don't think he's a bust. I mean,
I agree with you.
He didn't live up to his expectations of being a #1 draft pick coming out of high school. That kind of counters it right there. That's the neutralizer. He didn't live up to his expectations. Well, yeah, he just came out of high school. Because at least in that era, the cats who were getting drafted, they had some basic training in college. Yeah. He went straight from, high school to the NBA.
And he was the first overall #1 draft pick. Number one.
Exactly.
Right.
And the expectations with that, even as a college player, let alone a guy that's barely legal to drive a car. Mm-hmm. And I thought, so, I mean, I never heard the brother speak until
none of us. Man, here's the thing, Mike. After 20 years, this man hadn't bothered nobody, and for the way that Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, the way they kind of did it, that was kind of foul in my opinion.
Becky with the pretty hair.
Well, I mean, they kind of, they were talking to Jenny Buss. Make a long story short, Jenny Buss said there was 2 players involved in that trade with Paul Gasol. And basically, Matt Barnes said no, there was only 1 player. Then he hit Steven Jackson on the knee. He had this little smirk. Then they said, yeah, it was only 1 player. So my thing is, I mean, why do that? DJ Sullivan says Kwame wants all the smoke laughing loud, but he needs to chill now because nobody's giving him any more energy. He was trash, but he made it. MJ put that stigma on him though, and Kobe. I wouldn't say he was trash because here's my thing. Well, I'm gonna go back to what you say, Mike. There's a difference between a scrub and a bust. A scrub is the guy that's got the 14th guy on the roster that only plays when there's a blowout. That's a scrub. Yep. Kwame Brown wasn't a scrub. He made some numbers. He had some. I mean, they weren't great. I mean, for a #1 draft pick, I'd be the first to say that. Averaging 6 points, 5.5 rebounds, 0.9 assists over your career for a first. Nah, that's kind of maybe you could call it a bust. But he's not a scrub. A lot of people say he's a scrub. Yeah, so my thing is, this brother played 12 years in the league, made over $60 million. I guess put his mom in a house on the golf course.
17
years old. If you want to call him a bust, I'll take that bust. I'll take that resume. Me personally.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
And so I ain't mad at him for coming back. After a while, you keep picking at somebody that hadn't said anything. That's just like that bully that keep picking on that person that they know they can keep picking on. Eventually, that person gonna get fed up. He's gonna come out, and he came up and gave all the smoke.
Well, it's obvious. It's obvious he had all that anger pent up inside of him. Yeah. It's like you make your point better without the MFs and the SOBs.
Yeah. But that's entertaining, though, Mike. Let's go.
Yeah. I
agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. That does.
A lot of people are like, he kind of telling the truth.
Yes.
He's telling the truth, and he, and so he's a truth teller. That's what he is. And so, I want to see who's going to be the first to have him on their show.
Man, I don't know, man, but it's interesting. I just want to give you. Do you know who all he didn't win at, Mike? I made a list.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna read this list off real quick. Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Stephen A. Smith, Jamel Hill, Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, Shannon Sharp, Gilbert Arenas, Rachel Nichols, Rob Parker, Chris Broussard, Skip Bayless, Mike Wilborn, Roy Hibbert. He didn't win he done gave them all the smoke, bro.
And
But
he gave
anyway,
Jalen Rose
the
props
thumbs
for
up.
having his back.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. So anyway, man, my thing is, I understand the brother. I hope these brothers work this out because I do hate to see black men going at it like this over social media. So hopefully they can get this together. And Kwame, Mr. Brown, Kwame, and I say this correctly because he said his name is not Kwame, it's Kwame. Mr.
Kwame.
Brown, if you watch this, I don't want none of your mama's cooking, brother. I'm coming in
Nobody
peace.
does.
I'm
Well, and
coming in peace.
and he's the only person I've heard give props to the Ball father, to Mr.
Yeah.
Ball.
Yeah,
See,
he
nobody,
did.
because their father is non-traditional, but look where his sons are.
Yeah.
Look where his sons are. So no, he speaks truth, and he speaks loud. And people are they're not gonna say his word or his name in their mouth anymore.
Yep. So anyway, Kwame, much love to you, my brother. I know you popping right now, so we're gonna keep an eye out on what you're saying. DJ Sullivan says Kwame is being honest, though, true, and he gave Gilbert Arenas. I forgot. You're right. He gave Gilbert Arenas that he gave him the business too. So we're gonna move on to this next topic. Mike, I don't know if you saw this, but this is interesting, and we might see more of this. High school kid out of Houston has decided to skip his senior season of football. His name is Jaydon Blue. He's a senior. Blue. Yeah, 5'10", 195-pound running back out of Klein Kane High School in Houston. He committed to the University of Texas in Austin in February. He ran for 2,155 yards and 30 touchdowns his junior year, averaged 9.5 yards per carry. He said he and his family thought that it was in his best interest to sit out this season so he can concentrate on his starting at UT because of the running back position. They take a lot of hits, didn't want to have an unnecessary injury. So that's why he decided to pass on playing his senior year. What's your thoughts, Mike?
I don't know. I guess, I don't want to be that get off my lawn kind of guy, because, Adrian Peterson, you and I both covered him. He didn't think that way.
Right.
Earl Campbell didn't think that way. I'm just saying, because then what happens when he gets to college? Hey, coach, I don't feel like practicing today. Y'all hitting today, keep me out of the drill. I'm just saying, although Texas has nothing to do with that decision, his family does. And I know that's also NFL inspired as well, because nowadays, the way it works, kids are talking NBA and NFL when they're in high school. It used to be a time when you didn't talk that. You were encouraged to go to college, get your deal. It's a different landscape, though. We'll see. I don't agree with it, because I think if you're a senior and you the man, you the dog, enjoy that senior year. Have a good time with it. Don't let it be such a business so quickly. Because once you get to college, especially at UT, where all the eyes are going to be on you, it's going to quit being the fun you had as a sophomore and junior.
Right.
Don't pass up that last year of enjoying yourself and having a great time and being with the fellas, because if they win a championship at your school, you ain't a part of it. Yeah, you might get invited to the banquet and all of that, but you're not going to feel the love. And so the last time you will have felt that love was this last year, whatever that may have been, because, and of course, if Texas wins a championship, maybe that's a huge maybe.
Yeah, that's a huge maybe.
So I think you cheat yourself out of some tremendous memories, sentimentality, togetherness, and memories at that 20-year reunion coming up. That 20-year reunion. Remember when we did this? Oh yeah, you was working out. You didn't play. You can be a part of that.
Right.
Like I said, it becomes a business fast enough for you.
Yeah.
I think you should go ahead and go that final year, but we'll see how it turns out, man. I mean, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he's going to have to do.
Yeah. Lamar, what's going on, brother? Glad you joined us. I see both sides to this. I could see from the point of not wanting to have a serious injury. I can see that. But then you take out insurance policies. My thing is you can write around that. I just think this is setting up a slippery slope, man. I think don't be surprised to see more kids do this in team. And my thing is the team part of it. To me, as a teammate, especially in team sports, I would feel some type of way, man. And it's not a hate. or anything, but wait a minute, we've been playing all up to get all year. We've been putting in work, and I understand you got a scholarship and all, but then you just gonna leave us hanging like this? You are a guy. You rushed for almost 3,000 yards, but now you don't want to play with us.
And you know what? What if
So,
somebody that's taken that spot has a better 1 year that's more
right,
impressive than your 2 years?
right,
You
right,
know, he might get a scholarship too to the same place, and then now you two are up against one another for that spot. So
right. Yeah,
there's a lot. It's an unseen situation. A lot can happen from that, and I just hope it's going to be worth it for him down the road. I mean, I think about Maurice Claret. I mean, although his is a different situation, you know, he's at Ohio State, and look how it didn't turn out for him.
yeah.
He was doing something non-traditional and all that kind of stuff.
Right,
So
right,
I don't know if you're going to be the first one out there, and what I think is he could easily fall into that trap of having an agent. You know, because if he's doing something like this,
right.
you're not going to have, I mean, just all kinds of opportunities for somebody to get in your ear.
Right.
Because if you're thinking that way and hoping to have an NFL career, there's a potential agent out there who's like, I like the way this kid thinks.
Yeah.
Let me get a hold of mom and dad and just talk to them on the low. I mean,
yeah.
So we'll see, man. We'll see. I can't believe the coach couldn't talk him out of it. I'm surprised.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's his and his parents' decision. You know, coach can say all he want, but I mean, he can't. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna see, and I think we got to keep an eye on this because we're gonna see more of this when it comes to these top-notch high school football players and basketball players too. So we're gonna keep our eye on it.
Just like we see guys who skip bowl games, you know, the big bowl games.
Right.
So you're right.
All right. Next topic, Mike. You can talk on this, and I can too. Our guy, Mr. Dale Hansen, said he is hanging it up after 38 years at WFAA. If you don't know who Dale Hansen is in the DFW, in the state of Texas, by that matter, he is the dean of sportscasters, man. He's been doing it for 38 years. I can tell you, the last couple of years with his Unplugged segment has definitely put him in a whole totally different stratosphere as a journalist, not just sports journalist, as a journalist. Mike, talk about Dale. You know, you and I, we covered Cowboys camp.
Right.
We've hung around Dale. I guess give us a couple of stories or memories of Dale.
With a cold within our hand.
Right, exactly.
You know, he's evolved. Because I know, you know, my first impression of him was pretty much just about what people have said, and I never saw it. You know, some folks always thought that maybe he had an issue with racism or that he was a racist kind of guy. I don't know that, you know, but when you look at his two generals, you know, Jose and Arnold, I mean, you can't be a racist and you got those two cats working under you because they made him look good and he had no problem working with them. So that might have been rumor or hearsay, but he's last of that generation of guys who sat in that chair for almost 40 years. Those days are over. You know, he don't know nothing about no MMJ. He don't know nothing about no editing or anything like that. He's just the guy. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna obliviate or however that word is, or throw it out there. And Dallas, you know, let me back up. Newey Scruggs might be the next one to do that. Maybe. I don't see Newey going anywhere. I think he's gonna be there for a while. But Dale Hansen, he brought it. You know, in my first recollection of who Dale Hansen was when they broke that SMU story back in the 80s. I was just a pup in the business. And I was a big Eric Dickerson fan of Pony Express, him and Craig James. And when I read what was going on and how that TV station with Dale Hansen and some other folks and his staff broke that story, those stories don't get broke at the local level anymore. Big time. I mean, ESPN might break it. But you got social media and all of that. He didn't even know. I saw a story on Dale last week when he did one of his Unplugged. It was on Michael Sam and the gay ball player. Right. And he said, "Hey, you went viral." He's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "No, I don't feel sick."
Yeah, he didn't know what it was. He know viral. Yeah.
No, social media.
Yeah, right.
So that's how it's evolved. But no, he was good at what he did. He didn't have a problem getting in the face of Jerry Jones.
Nope.
Barry Switzer.
Nope.
I think he had a tempered relationship with Jimmy Johnson. I don't recall anything happening there. But those are good years. Those Jimmy Johnson years are good years. Right. What you gonna jump on Jimmy about? Right. You know? But see, those guys are kind of his age almost. You know, Barry Switzer and Jerry Jones, for sure. Switzer. They were in that age range with, you know, and he said this. if I was a 30-year-old white kid doing this, I'd be fired and sent out the front door.
Yeah.
But I'm a member of the AARP and I can get away with some of this stuff. He also said if I was a 35-year-old black guy, I definitely couldn't do this stuff. So he's outlived news directors, and I'm real quick, and before you go, he tells a story. He's been fired from 9 jobs out of 11.
Yeah, he's been fired from 9 jobs. Yeah, I know.
I heard him tell the story that when he worked wherever, I think Omaha, Nebraska, where he's from Iowa, he and the news director did not get along. The news director fired him. And the news director said, and if you're ever any place that I come to and you're the sports guy, you might as well just pack your boxes. Well, that happened at Fox 4 when they were CBS. I've heard him tell this story at a training camp. Once he found out who that new news director was, he started packing his stuff, man.
He knew it was a wrap.
He knew it was a wrap, and the ND just kind of picked up where they left off and said, "Okay, that's what I thought." And we wound up at Channel 8. Well, he showed him, I guess, right?
Right, exactly. He had a great career,
tremendous storyteller. I think he felt the camp 2 years ago, because there was no camp last year in Oxnard. All the younger guys, and I mean, I'm not a young guy, but that group of guys, he didn't really hang out. And I kind of got the sense that he felt like he's being left out because all of his buddies were gone. Randy Galloway,
the guys he started with, all of them gone.
His peers are gone,
Right. It's the younger crew now.
And he was just, he would strike up a conversation with me, and we talk a little bit. And so no, he was the guy. He was the guy, and nobody did it better than Dale Hansen. From what I could see.
Well, salute to you, Mr. Hansen. 38 years, and he will retire September 2nd, so he isn't going just yet, just to let you guys know. Last topic real quick, I just want to talk about the TFG Fantasy Football League. Guys, we're going to have some fun with this. Want to let you know you got time to get your entry fee. You need to send your entry fee in first. It's $50 via Cash App on the flyer. Send it to $Jaquithia Sims. Make sure in the memo field you put your email address and TFG Fantasy Football. Then you check your email for invite to join the league. Now, the funds are due to join the league July 31st. You got time. This is May the 25th. You got time. You can save your money up. Now, the first league, the draft date is August 10th at 7:15 p.m. Central. Yours truly and myself, Charles Moore, who is a fantasy football connoisseur expert. We will be hosting it live. So make sure you got your popcorn, your drinks. We're going to talk a little noise. Make sure you know what you're doing. Don't be putting these old crazy drafts out here, because we're going to laugh you off this live shot if you come with these crazy drafts. I'm telling you now. I know you spent your $50, but we're going to laugh at you. So I'm just going to tell you that. Now, we're going to have our second league draft. It's going to be that the following week, 8/17, say 7:15 p.m. Central. Yours truly and Charles will do the same thing. Now, the first 24 people to Cash App their entries will be in. So after 24, that's a wrap. So make sure you get your money in as soon as possible. All right, Mike, real quick, final thoughts, and we're going to get out of here, brother.
Well, we were talking about the landscape changing with high school athletes. The guys want to sit out a year, the kid at Klein. Did you see the story about the young girl who's 15 years old and right now will be allowed to play professional soccer here in the States? The NSWL, which Patrick Mahomes' wife is a co-owner of the franchise in Kansas City. And because they're not, how was the wording? They're not part of like a so-called official pro league, but they are pro. For now, she is allowed to play at the age of 15 and get paid. So in this girls' sports, and so we're gonna, we're gonna see a different change, man, when it comes to finances for these athletes, and it's gonna be really interesting to see how it turns out, because it's not just happening at the level of collegiate cats with the likeness and the names and all that.
Right.
You saw the kid who was 17 going to the G League. You got $1 million contract. In Atlanta, something called OT something, where they're going to pay 16 to 18-year-old kids to play basketball, and they're going to get $100,000.
Yeah.
So the word amateurism is going to fall by the wayside even more and more in the years to come.
And I don't have a problem with that. No. I agree. I'm gonna definitely keep my eye on that, Mike. My final thoughts, real quick, is talking about labels, and I said this last night on TFG tonight. I think we talk sports. Michael has done it longer than I have. And, a lot of times we are asked our opinion on certain players, but we have to be careful how we label people. As long as you label them in their profession and don't take shots at them and don't keep picking at them, I don't think you have a problem with that. But just be careful on continually taking shots at athletes, because guess what? At the end of the day, they're human beings just like we are.
Yeah.
They got families that love them just like we do. So be careful who you label a bust or a scrub, because you could be a bust or scrub yourself. So that's my final thoughts. Mike, thank you for joining.
All right, buddy.
Your guy
Talk to you, man.
Talk to you. We out of here. Thanks for joining us. Until next time. Peace.